My name's Quinn Robichaux. Thank you all for kind of help letting me present our company here today. It's good to be with you all and share a cup of coffee. Hopefully everyone's caffeinated and getting the morning going. But like Hauke said, we're a pretty new startup. We launched with a $200,000 investment this September of 2020. And ever since, we've been trying to accomplish our company goal of helping people heal. Um, I think we can all relate to this poor kid, right? We all fell off of a bike or a scooter at some point and scraped up our knees and elbows. But unfortunately, wounds, they can be much more severe than this. This is Alex Smith. He's the former quarterback of the Washington football team. He was a pretty good quarterback, but he's more famous for a pretty gruesome leg injury he suffered in a football game a couple years ago. It was a compound fracture, so the bone that he broke in his leg did protrude from the skin and was open to the environment, but still should have been a pretty quick fix with a cast in a few months and some rehab. Should have been pretty normal recovery. But unfortunately, he almost lost his life because the bone was, exposed to the air. It developed a pretty gnarly infection. But this was no ordinary infection. They pumped his body with every known antibiotics that mankind has ever created, and none of it worked. These kinds of infections are known as antibiotic resistant infections. They are just that. They were resistant to the antibiotics that we have created today. He almost, like I said, he almost lost his life. His wife was pleading with doctors to just cut off the leg because the infection had started to go into his bloodstream. So cutting off the leg would have gotten rid of the infection and everything. But thankfully, he's survived today, but his leg does look like that. I'm sorry for the gruesome picture, but it kind of makes the point, I guess. So what are these antibiotic resistant infections? Well, like I said, they are just that. They're resistant to antibiotics we've created. They affect 2.8 million and kill 35,000 Americans every year. And the World Health Organization has declared them one of the top 10 global public health threats facing humanity. So how did these things come about? Why is all of a sudden antibiotics not working anymore? Well, because of the overprescription and overuse of antibiotics. So doctors prescribing too many antibiotics, or if you take antibiotics for a simple sinus infection and you only take half of those pills, or you don't finish the dosage, or don't do the prescription according to what the doctor said to do. This leads to antibiotics kind of adapting, or the bacteria kind of adapting to the antibiotics, which leads them to become resistant to them. It also antibiotics are also kind of put in animal feed. So pouring tons and tons of antibiotics in animal feed across the globe will actually add to this resistance as well. So at Nanocare, we wanted to fight this, starting with wound care though, because companies like Neosporin sell over $150 million worth of antibiotics. And they're not the only product that does this kind of thing, right? There are all kinds of antibiotic creams and ointments that once you get a wound, before it's even infected, you just put some antibiotic cream on there, thus adding to the overprescription and overuse of antibiotics and leading to antibiotic resistance. So at Nanocare, we came up with a replacement to these kind of antibiotic ointments for wound care. We call it Expergo. And it is for veterinary use only. And just a quick disclaimer, we have no proof or evidence, and the FDA has not evaluated any use of Expergo for human use, but this is our goal, that hopefully we think that it could be used for people. But right now we're sticking to veterinary use only, as it currently meets the FDA requirements for an FDA medical device. It comes in a spray or packet like this, and it's basically consists of hydrogen peroxide, that brown bottle that you would pour on your wounds as a kid and it would kind of bubble. We basically turn that into a gel form and put it in these kind of packets of spray bottles so you can easily put it on your pet's wounds. So why did we kind of choose to go in the veterinary industry? Well, there are two reasons. The first reason, to get a medical product or a drug or a medical device approved for human use takes a lot of money. Also a lot of time. So we're still currently fundraising right now at Nanocare. We haven't raised enough money yet to kind of follow through with that process, but we hope to one day as well. In the veterinary industry, pet products are a little easier and cheaper to kind of get approved and cleared with the FDA. The second reason is there's a huge market incentive for no antibiotics use for animal use. These are just a few list of companies that have already committed to sell meat, kind of chicken, beef, cows, obviously, right? To never use antibiotics on these animals when they sell them. So Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Tyson, all of these companies have committed to not using antibiotics in their feed. But if they get injured, they can't be using antibiotic creams either because of that goal. So that's kind of where we want to come in place. That's what other people are doing. Here's what we're doing about this to kind of implement this technology into this market, right? We've completed all kind of safety and efficacy tests to make sure Expergo is safe for a pet to use. Currently, our target customers right now are veterinarians. They're kind of like early innovators in this space. Right now, we have 12 veterinarians bravely sampling and giving us testimonials of the product Expergo. After we receive these testimonials on what they think about using the product on certain wounds, we'll launch sales to vets and expand that customer base. And ultimately, this is all to attract a manufacturer such as Johnson & Johnson or McKesson to kind of pick up our product Expergo and then distribute it using their sales and marketing force. That's kind of how the industry goes. I didn't know a lot of this when I started, but we're learning a lot of how these things are done and how product development is achieved. So here's kind of where we're stuck, I guess. The first major thing with Nanocare is that we'd have a really experienced sales and marketing team. It's led by a person named Lisa Taylor. She has experience in the vet sales industry, but we're currently lacking kind of a product development experience on the team, such as a veterinarian that knows how to kind of get a technology all the way to approved for veterinary use. So that's one thing we're kind of lacking. And I'd love to hear from this community if anybody knows veterinarians or has any experience, and kind of just give us some feedback on if you think we're doing the right thing. But also a little more personal thing that I may be struggling with as an entrepreneur is kind of managing uncertainty. So as an entrepreneur, your job and your paycheck kind of depends on the company. And so it always feels like it's kind of dangling on a thread, basically, because if the company runs out of funding, so do you, right? And so kind of managing that uncertainty has been kind of hard for me, I guess, maybe causing a little anxiety. And I'd also love to hear from this community about if you guys have any feedback on how to either cope with that anxiety or how to mitigate that uncertainty. I'd love to hear from this community. And again, thank you so much for having me present today. It's good to feel that I'm part of a group of entrepreneurs here in San Marcos, that there are people all around me kind of doing the same thing. So can't wait to hear your questions of anything else as well. So thank you again for having me present today.